mood is set that we're all knowing about Kaizen. The key issue is, Jayant asked me to speak here, is about what are the challenges we face today, right? We're all at different levels. Some of us have started it, like we as a Bidco, we started it 28 years ago. And even before Jayant joined Kaizen Institute, I think we had him on board to look at excellence. But the point is that we're all at different stages. And then, of course, sustainability and then keeping it going happens. Number two is when people come and join and new people come in and they don't have the Kaizen culture. We actually visited with Jayant and them a factory in US, Toyota. And they said we actually put any newcomer in onto 6 months of induction on Kaizen. And unless they are qualified, we do not let them on the line. How many of us do that here? 6 months of full induction training full time, and then you put them on the line. How many of us do it? Not many. So that's the biggest issue that we have, is when people come from a different culture. I think some of you said it very clearly, Kaizen as a culture, and it's what we do together. It's when people come and join and they're not Kaizen, especially at TMC, right? Top management commitment. The top management changes, the top management says, oh, Kaizen, no. Next, something else comes in. And I think this is where we are all facing challenges in terms of the longevity. And I think today's challenges are very, very different. The wars have taught us something solid right now. It's about supply chain resilience and how you're going to manage it. And just 2 days ago, Akshay was talking about it, 2 days ago, we had a big issue with the strikes. And if we were on just in time, we had to shut down the factories, right? And for a fact, we had to shut down because we were just in time, and you got your oils flowing and all that stuff happening, and it didn't work. And that's when somebody says you should have had a buffer. If you had a good buffer, you would have kept going. Is that the right type of thinking? What do you guys say? Because in crisis, this is when your paradigms are tested and said, look, what do we do about this? And therefore, today, supply chains are challenged. I think number one challenge is customer trust, right? Number two is speed, visibility. And I think the other issue is about cash flow. It's about resilience to such things happening. I think it's a 7-day truce, as Trump says. 7 days, we got a ceasefire. And then again, we're going to start after 7 days. What are we going to do differently? Are we going to really react? There's geopolitics happening everywhere. I think yesterday we were supposed to see this the Iran-US agreement done. This morning we checked, it's not yet done. That means that, we're still going to continue with it. And then sustainability comes in, right? How do you sustain this? And increasingly, all of us are into this survival mode, right? That's what the Matatu industry now is talking about. So have they hiked their rates by 50%? Does that raise the cost for everyone? How do we price when we're in consumer industries? How do we price? So I think this is where the whole thing about Kaizen and the modern supply chain now is not just about doing one or two things. It's about the entire nervous system. As we say, the body, right? It's controlled by the nervous system. But a lot of times we don't treat it. We treat only, if it's a knee problem, we treat the knee. We don't treat the whole body. And I think this is where Kaizen comes in to see full value chain. It becomes, like some of you said, it's a culture. And when it becomes a culture, it's the way you see things. The lenses that you wear are very different. I'm sure at KEMSA, you're probably the biggest public company, or what do you call it, the parastatal, to have done this and adopted this. You probably have a big story if you do storytelling before and after. Can you imagine what it was before and what it is now and what it's going to become? I think that's where the biggest issue is. And I think this is where today's issue is what? Demand volatility. Demand can change tomorrow. Everything can happen in a different way. One TikTok put out, one viral influencer putting out stuff there, and your market changes, your demand would change. And say people say, oh, we're off this product. So the traditional forecasting style of saying, I have my 3-year forecast, I have my 2-year forecast. I speak to the banks. Yesterday I was with Afri-Exim Bank, and banks are looking at your 3-year plan. Give me your 3-year plan. How many of you here make 3-year plans? Yeah, you do, right? Perfect. So your forecasting is always accurate, right? And when you forecast it, you actually hit the nail on the head. Always. Don't you? Yeah. So when Masaki Mai came over to our factory at Bidco, And he came and says, how many of you do forecasting? A lot of guys said, yeah. He says, so then you're not in the business of what you're doing, you're in the business of gambling. Because it's more of a gamble that you say, this is my forecast. And you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And none of us have really met our forecasts accurately. We all at top management put a stretch goal and say, fine, stretch this a bit more, stretch it here, and really the reality is different. So what Masaki, my son, said to us is clearly, be responsive. Be agile, be responsive. Your market will change. But as the market changes, you change yourself much faster than that change. And that's what the whole thing was about, being responsive, not about forecasting. Because you're in the flower business, right? Tomorrow the airlines have stopped. COVID came in. What happened? So there's no flights going out. What do you do? Today, we're in the AI stage, right? Most of you are AI, looking at it somehow. What if there's no bandwidth tomorrow? You talked about not life not being there, the insurance. What if there was no bandwidth tomorrow? What if there's no internet tomorrow? Akshay, how would you survive?
I use offline AI.
Sorry?
I use offline AI.
Yeah, I agree. But the point is, all this bandwidth and all these systems that we have, and most of you are probably looking at your screens right now and not listening to me, but when you're looking at that, and if there was no bandwidth, what would happen? What Kaizen would you do there? Right? Actually, some of us, if we don't have our phone in the morning or a device with us, we feel I'm not dressed up, right? I am undressed. And I think this is an important point. So we have the result. What are the results? Stockouts, overstocking, markdown losses, thinner margins, working capital issues, either overstock or understock. Global uncertainty. I mean, we've had that in the last few weeks. When the Middle East crisis came out with the wars, the whole thing was people coming and saying, okay, force majeure. Force majeure means all my contracts with you are cancelled. Prices agreed to, you hedged all that stuff, it's all gone. Now, let's renegotiate. And the renegotiations prices went up by 60, 70% on some of the commodities, especially the plastics guys, right? And then currency fluctuations, fuel prices, trade barriers, all these are challenges we're all going to face anyway. The question is, in using Kaizen, what are we going to do differently? And I think this is where the whole issue about rising customer expectations, the customer expects what they want, when they want it, where they want it at the right price. What's happening with pricing today and costing? Yeah? How do you price and cost? In fact, how do you budget right now? If you look at the person coming out and say, I'm using a Matatu every day, and if the Matatu fare has gone up by 50%, how are they going to budget? So Irene, I think this is something for you to look at in terms of what are we going to do. But the consumer has become impatient. And I think AI has brought in this whole issue around, I get instant results, right? I ask something right now, get the result, and that's it. But the fact is, this is where you get the strategy or where you get the intelligence. But execution. How do you do execution? And I've seen this in our companies, in a lot of places where I talk to. It is about, yeah, I got the answer. AI gave me the entire answer. This is what I got to do. This is my strategy. And this is a reset we're doing. But then the doing, the human brain does not act or react as fast. And that's probably where we need Kaizen, is to say, fine, now how do I put that into action? I've got the strategy, I've got the detail, I know what to do. The complexity is big. But here, all the problems we had in the past, all of us, we had a lot of data. And we didn't know how to do this data mining. Your AI will help you to mine that data and get the data set out and really get stuff out there with intelligence. But then execution. And that's probably where Kaizen is really required in terms of execution to say, fine, here, I've got too many SKUs, I've got too many approvals, I've got too many bureaucracies that we've already introduced in our companies, and AI can kill all that. So what are we going to kill in terms of the processes? What are we going to do? And I think that one of the best thing was the spaghetti diagrams. How many of you have done spaghetti diagrams in your companies? It's not eating spaghetti, but the spaghetti diagrams, right? And how much did you find out in terms of non-value-added activities? What are the percentages? How many things we do in our companies that are non-value-adding? Spaghetti diagram you did? What was the NVA? How much? 60%. 60 is very good if you got 60, because mostly people are at 90, 95. 90 to 95% of the processes that we've instilled in our companies are non-value adding, right? It's like check writing, sending a supplier's payment, and look at the amount of paperwork that goes through through a spaghetti diagram. So I think the methods are there. I think it's important. But today, the need for Kaizen, in fact, I would say one thing, Jayant Sang, we need to get it into government. What if it started from the president's office? What if it started with the ministers? What if it started with all the parastatals and all the regulators that we have here? Make a difference? Maybe use the Kaizen team. Use KEMSA as an example and portray and say, fine, reduce that muda for us. But that's only 50%. 50% of the muda we get is from what government does. The rest 50% of our competitiveness is in our companies. It's within our own processes that our companies. So at least that's in our control. Let's take control of that and let's start looking at that before we go and say, oh, Sarkali Mbaya or Sirikali Mbaya, or there's a problem with government. It's not. The 50% is still with us and we can change that. So I think that's something that's important. It's the same thing as all the 8, sins, as we call them, right? Mudas or whatever, overproduction, over movement, transportation, inventory. Inventory is a muda, right? Inventory is not really an asset. A lot of times, I think the steel industry used to stock what? 1 year of inventory, and we have enough for the next 1 year. Now it's probably come down to, days or whatever. The ports could use Kaizen like crazy tomorrow. You talked about exporting products all over the world. Joyce, the export industry could use Kaizen in a big way. The ports, the entire regulation, just bringing in shipments from overseas. If they did a serious Kaizen there, by the time the ship has arrived, your clearing is done. It's moving to the Gemba. So I think that could be really amazing. This is where we all need to probably lobby and talk about what do we do there, right? The whole route inefficiencies. One more thing. Yesterday we talked about it with Afrexim Bank. Every single border that we have, right? Every single border that we export to or whatever, every border needs Kaizen. Because the goods should be flowing through. That flow should be automatic. And Afrexim Bank gave us a solution to say, fine, here we can actually underwrite the government. If things are moving from Kenya to Uganda, at that border, if you did Kaizen there, improve the processes or digitized it, they are willing to say, we will underwrite the government that they will get their taxes. They'll pay the government the taxes and they'll get it from the private sector. So that way there's a bond there, This custom clearing problem, it's taking 21 days for a cargo to get from here to DRC, right? That could become reduced in a bigger way. So Africa can really be improved in such a big manner. And I think the other thing is the talent and the skills we have here. I think we have second to none. If I look at the human capital that we have here, it's just amazing. And they're adapting a lot more things, and they're open to that. It's not the same. I went to South Africa and visited some factories there. It's not the same there, right? The learnability, the learning ability, the adoption ability is amazing here. So I guess overall, I just want to say one thing, that it is so much more relevant today. It's like we need it midnight tonight, right? In every company, every place, government, private sector, hospitals. Just go and talk to Shah, not the Shahs here, but the SHA, the Social Health Authority. Every hospital needs this whole thing. The entire Shah issue of processing payments and processing things for hospitals, serious requirement for Kaizen. KEMSA, can you influence that and get it done so that really this processing of the claims that we have for employees, for everyone, is a muda, serious muda. Why can't it be done automatically? You got your Shah number, you go in there, and you got automatic traction. It's serious opportunities. The same thing with the, I don't want to talk about the housing levy stuff, that, we're building houses or whatever. Maybe a lot of waiting, overproduction could be stopped there. It could be seriously, improving the whole situation. Kaizen a lot of times does marketing. Let's go and market to people. For all of you who are practitioners here, is it not a no-brainer? Is it not a culture that requires to be done by everyone? In fact, this is in Japan. There's frugality instilled in the culture, and they actually bow down and get these sort of things done. Why can't we do that across the board here? What stops us from doing that? And I just want to end on this note to say, fine, the whole complexity that we bring into processes and systems could be eased off with Kaizen, right? And remove half the things. Kenya paid 110 billion shillings to get a software for Shah. 110 billion shillings. What if we just did the Kaizen on the NHIF system and get it done? It wouldn't have cost us that much. I'm just saying that when you look at all this, it's a culture of visibility, it's a culture of transparency, it's a culture of visual organizations. When you go to an airport, you don't have to find out, oh, where do I get the exit from? There's already done. It's already done for you. Where is a good airport? It's already designed in such a manner that you actually never get lost. In some of the offices or some of the hotels or wherever, you have to ask, where is this place? Where is that place? Why can't we do the same thing? So I think the ones you've done in hotels in Taj, I think was amazing, where they actually reduced the entire servicing and all that stuff. So there's a lot that could be done here. The question that is on minds of everybody right now, we've got the GITEX here. Speaking of the GITEX day for yesterday, GITX, right? That's the AI thing now. And they're saying AI everything. So a lot of people are scared about AI, what it's going to do, what it's not going to do. I think Akshay can probably give a nice lecture on what AI can do and what it will do. Yes, loss of jobs will happen. Jobs will be lost. There's no doubt about it. But the people who don't learn AI and they don't learn Kaizen are the ones who are going to lose their jobs. I believe that through Kaizen, your processes could be improved, and then plant on AI on top of it. You will actually amplify whatever's happening, and you'd have a faster speed. The velocity of cash flow, velocity of workflow, everything would be improved a lot more. And I just think that it's a game changer. Don't deny it and say, no, AI, we don't do. We are Kaizen. We are this. And I think 15, 20 years ago, we talked to Jayant and Vinod Grover and said, look at digitalization. No. In Kaizen, we don't do digitalization. Now they're even saying, okay, now we can enable through digitization a lot more faster stuff. So I think overall, it's just that you've all adopted it. The thing is now, can we go up a notch and say, fine, get to the level of excellence? You will never arrive. You will never be, you get your award. You're going for the award, right? You get your award, but still there is room for improvement all the time. So even Toyota today says in the next 5 years or 3 years, they want a 30% improvement in their productivity. Toyota company themselves. And they're the guys who brought Lean and Kaizen to us. So I just think that this continuous improvement is required. If we adopt it now and say, fine, now we want to make manufacturing competitive, because the task today is governments just putting on levies and taxes and whatnot, making us more and more non-competitive. Can we use Kaizen to say, fine, here we change things around and make things happen? So I just want to say that I think there's no doubt. I'm speaking to people who are already converted. If it was a crowd who doesn't know Kaizen, it'd be a different discussion. But really, this is here to stay. But now let's entrench it so much that it becomes the way we see it. The lenses we wear are Kaizen, and the culture is the same. And you can do that in your house. One of our staff said, you know what it does now? These shirts that you wear in the morning, he says when it's ironed, he just put it on a hanger and just close the top button. Don't close all the buttons. Otherwise, a lot of people say close all the buttons, then you open them up and then you start wearing your shirt. I've done Kaizen. I just keep one top button, open it, and I'm wearing my shirt. So it's simple things like that. In the kitchen, I think ladies do a lot. Kaizen is done, everything in its place, a place for everything, and you just do your tea and it's just automatically done. The same way we can do it in our lives. So congratulations to the Kaizen team for 20 years here. The next 20 years is what we're looking at. And I think there could be a lot more improvements. So you guys are going to be the candles, the matchsticks that are going to light a lot more candles. So be that, matchstick that really strikes, light a candle, and every candle that you light will be enlightened much more. So I think it's not evangelism here. It's not about the gospel, but really let's spread this word throughout and really make it a way of life. Thank you. Thank you very much.